Hey everyone, it's Justin. Thank you for watching and welcome to my house. In this video, I want to talk to you about something unusual, and it is a scripting function that I've incorporated into an action in Flow Designer, which I've incorporated into a subflow in Flow Designer, which I'm using to manage my application crawls of the ServiceNow store. And I thought this was actually relevant because I had the problem before me of how do I compare one record in ServiceNow to another record in ServiceNow. And the best I could get was basically comparing hashes of those records. A hash of the record is basically you use an algorithm to look at all the values of a input and then create a hash for it, and then you can compare two things really quickly without having to go if this field matches this field, if this field matches this field, if this field matches this field. So what I wound up using was GlideDigest. It provides methods for creating a message digest from strings or input streams using MD5, SHA1, or SHA256, or SHA1, SHA256 hash algorithms. So that is what I use. Let me hop over to Flow Designer and show you what I did. I made a really simple action called create application fingerprint. It accepts as an input a string that we're going to fingerprint, and then it outputs the hashed fingerprint. That's it. Really, really simple. It's got one step. Okay, so we populate a variable in the script step. We pass the input that we got here to the input of the script step, right? That's what you got to do if you're using Flow Designer. And then all I do is I call that class that we just saw. I make a new variable called digest, make it a new GlideDigest, and then I pass that string and put that in my output. So I should explain this a little bit further. Right here I'm saying use that digest class that I just created and use the method get SHA1 base 64. I have no security needs around this. I'm purely using it for comparing things, so I don't care how secure it is. And then I pass it some inputs, and this is a string that I want to fingerprint, and then I put that string in the outputs for the fingerprint hash. So if we scroll down below, we can see the outputs fingerprint hash is what I'm referencing there in the script above, and it puts that in the output. Now, where I'm using this, if we take a peek at my application crawler, shout out to Mr. Jace Benson, who by sharing some details with me about how my crawl was working and what he knew around REST calls and seeing what's going on in the inner workings of web pages, my crawl now went from 12 hours to finish the crawl of the whole store to less than an hour. 48 minutes is the last time I calculated. But during that process now, I'm creating an application fingerprint, and I'm passing all the values of the things that I want to know if they changed or not. So I might want to know if it's allowable on a developer instance, if the application name has changed, if the company name has changed, if the version has changed, if it's a ServiceNow app has changed, all of these things, the price has changed. So it's putting all this into a string, and then I'm creating a hash, and then I'm storing that hash in my application table. So look at this. I've got application fingerprint now for this particular application called the Configuration Hub. If I scroll down, and I might have to move my head here, if I scroll down and look at the application crawls, look, I've got a crawl here where the application fingerprint matches the application fingerprint here. So now when I'm doing a comparison using to see what's updated, I can go, hey, does the last crawl value match the application fingerprint value? If it does, there's nothing to see here. Move on, go to the next application. But just below that, you can see the crawl there from yesterday. And this is just because I've been building my application. The fingerprint was different. So that fingerprint does not match that fingerprint. And so if my logic sees that, it's going to update the store application and create a new version, which is what happened in today's crawl. It created a new version because, look, the previous version didn't have the application name or the company name or the price, or is it a ServiceNow app, because I'm just still building all this out. So now I can have a true version history. I've got this throwaway data of my application crawl histories, and I don't have to do that if this field has changed, if this field has changed, if this field has changed, if this field has changed. Now I just take one swoop at it, I make a fingerprint, and now I'm comparing fingerprints between records, and that is saving my crawl a lot of time. So I wanted to share that with you, what application you have to use it for. If you're crawling or you're trying to do some kind of record comparison in ServiceNow, don't forget about this GlideDigest and the ability to create hashes using some predefined algorithms for MD5, SHA1, and 256 in order to create what I call a fingerprint or a hash for some values. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please like, please subscribe, or share it with somebody who you think might be interested in creating hashes or creating fingerprints for their data in ServiceNow. And until next time, don't forget to always be learning.